Okay, so hello again, and thank you once again, Nicola, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me.
I think we're all very excited here.
Yeah, me too.
So Nicola is here with us tonight for a Q&A with the readers of her books. Everything, The Sun is Also a Star, and Instructions for Dancing. The books were published in Romanian in the Young Art collection, which is part of the Art Editorial Group. And in Romanian, the titles are the following: Absolut, tot, și soarele este o stea, and cum se dansează în pereche. And yeah, I think we can begin with the questions. Okay. So okay. So first, Monica Simeu, I think, was the first one.
Yes, that's me. Hi, hello. I'm so glad to be meeting you, and I loved your books, especially everything. I don't know, it was just my comfort book. And obviously, I have a question for you. What's the best piece of advice for young writers? And if you can recommend some books, that would be amazing.
Okay, well, thanks, Monica, for your nice, kind words. My best piece of advice for young writers. I have a couple of things. I think you've probably heard that you should read all you can, because so much of writing is instinct. And if you read a lot of books, you get to know how they're structured. You get to know what kind of books you like and what works to make you feel something. So read as much as you can. The other thing is to write as much as you can. I like to think of writing as being a muscle that sort of needs exercise, So as much as you need like some talent, it's actually just about working and practicing and learning your craft. And then the third, and this is probably the biggest piece of advice, is writing can be scary, right? When you get the blank page or your blank screen and you're getting ready to go, that can feel overwhelming and scary. But I want you to know that all writers that you love feel that same way, right? And the only difference is that we'll just keep going anyway, right? So my advice is keep going anyway, because you will write the first draft and it will be terrible. My first drafts are also very terrible, right? But you can fix it if you write it. You can't fix nothing though, right? You can't fix a blank page. So if you write your terrible first draft, you can fix that. You can make it better. The very first draft of everything is so bad. It's so bad. But the version that got published is pretty good, right? But I just revised it so many times. So that's my biggest piece of advice, is just keep going, because it's the same for every single writer, It's scary and it's hard, and then you do it and then you fix it and you fix it until you have the thing that you're proud of.
Thank you. And can you recommend some books?
Do you want like fiction books or
Oh,
writing?
I don't care, whatever you like.
Whatever I like. What am I reading? I'm reading Holly Black's adult book right now called Book of Night, which I really love. Have you read Red, White, and Royal Blue by Casey?
Oh, yes.
It's wonderful. I just love it so much. What else have I loved recently? I read another adult book. It's called The School for Good Mothers, which is kind of terrifying, but it's really very good. Yes. Oh, and Saba Tahir's All My Rage is a young adult. And that's one of my favorite books I've read in the last 5 years.
Thank you so much. You're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for the question. And for the answer, of course. Then we have Ana Enescu.
Good evening. First of all, I am such a huge fan and I absolutely adore you. I've got your books with me all the time.
Thank you.
My question is about The Sun is Also a Star. So it's a beautiful love story, but it's also a story about immigrants and about Natasha, who is about to be deported. So what inspired you to say this story? Because I think it's such an important aspect of it. And I think it's essential to talk about immigrants and people who decided to look for a better life somewhere else.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for saying that. It's nice to meet you. I'm an immigrant as well. I grew up in Jamaica and I immigrated to America when I was 11. And my parents left because they wanted a better life. And my dad wanted to, take a chance on the arts. I think that immigrating to a new country is such an act of hope and bravery. Imagine taking yourself away from all you know, your family, your language, your culture, and going somewhere else, right? It's such an act of bravery and hope. And you do it because you need to. And I think we need to see people who are immigrants in that light as being brave and hopeful. Some of the most patriotic people I know in America are immigrants, right? Because they really believe in the country that they're moving to. And so that's why I wanted to talk about it in The Sun is Also a Star, because I'm an immigrant. My husband's parents are immigrants as well. And they are so hardworking. They're so patriotic. They're so just hopeful. And I don't think that story gets told quite enough. So that's part of why I wanted to include immigration, just to say we're all people, we're all just trying to make it, right? And the borders don't really matter, right? We're all humans. Honestly, if we could just have one world without the borders, that would probably be the best. I don't think the governments are gonna let us get there, but that would be great, I think.
It would truly be brilliant, and thank you for answering. It meant a lot when I read it, because my aunt is also an immigrant. She went to England right after the communist regime ended here, so it meant a lot for me to read the story.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Thank you. Then we have Carmen Tudoroiu. Yeah.
Yes. I want to start by saying that you are such an amazing author, and I really appreciate your style of writing. I'll have a question about Everything, because that was a book I really enjoyed. I saw that Madeline's character and personality was pretty diverse, and I wanted to ask you what inspired you to write her this way, because she was kind of stuck inside, and I try to put myself in your shoes, and I don't know whether I could have actually gone with anything in the plot.
Right. Well, thank you for loving that book. It's funny because I was just talking about revising books, right? The very first version of Everything, Maddie is really kind of sad, right? Because she has been stuck in her house for her entire life. So she's miserable, but that is not a fun book to read, right? Because she is just sort of sad the whole time. And I don't actually think it was true for Maddie, right? Because if you have been stuck in your house for your entire life, you would have adjusted, or Maddie adjusted, right? She made the best of the life she had, right? And she did that by using her imagination, right? She imagined the world as she wanted it to be. She wrote all those book reviews. She loved books because they expanded her world. So for Maddie, she could not sink into sadness because she had no choice, because then it would be her whole life, right? So she made a decision to live through books and live through her imagination. She wants to be an architect partly because she wants to make the world, right? Because she can't be in it. by the second or third revision, I had changed her personality a little bit, because I thought, A, it's more fun for the reader, and B, because I thought that she would have adjusted to the world now, and have a unique perspective on it, because she can't be in it.
Thinking about it now, it really does make a lot of sense to me. So thank you for clarifying it, and thank you for having the patience to be with us tonight.
Oh, thank you. I mean, this is so much fun for me. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you. We're glad. We're glad it's fun. Andrea Mihai?
I wanted to start off by saying that your word, the author, that made me actually like reading. I decided to read the book, Everything, after I saw the movie with a friend back when I was in, like, I think 6th grade. Now I'm in the 11th, just for the comparison. I just got the book because I loved the movie so much. Actually, I've watched it like 17 times by now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And that's how in love I got with the movie. I actually know every line by heart. It's something that I'm really proud of.
That's amazing.
Then after the everything, I just got every single one of them. Actually, the Sun is also a star I have in the both.
Oh, really? Wow.
By accident. Like, I saw it. I saw your name. I didn't see the title, and I was like, yeah, I'm getting it. I just got it. And yeah, I want to ask you, what made you get the courage to publish? Because I myself started writing something, and I'm really scared. Well, I'm a teenager, so it's not the same as you as an adult to publish, but yeah, I just don't know how to get the courage to.
And what are you afraid of? Is it that people will read your words and not like it, or are you afraid of putting your work into the world? What's making you scared?
Well, first off, I know that if I were to publish now, my parents would want to see, and I don't like my parents seeing what I'm writing. Not that I'm hiding, it's just, it's my kind of freedom, and I just don't. Yeah, and I'm scared that people may think that I'm a weirdo, that they won't like it, as you said, and that maybe they wouldn't agree with what I'm thinking, the plot that I'm picking. They may think, oh, she's just a teenager, what does she know, and all those kind of things.
Okay, I understand. Okay, so here's the thing. Writing is scary. I mean, it is. I don't think any of that goes away. But you learn to live with it, right? Because not everyone will like your work. I saw a review of Everything on Goodreads when it first came out, and it was a terrible review. Oh my God, this person hated so much the book, and me for some reason. I know, but you learn to do, I mean, but there's so many people who love it too. Your book and your work will reach the people it needs to reach, and it will speak to the people it needs to speak to. But not everyone is going to love everything. That's just the nature of making art. You make art because you have something to say that's important to you, and you want the world to see it, and you want the world to talk to you about it and engage with you. You feel like you have something to say. There are like bad sides to that too, because the world talks back, but that's okay. Find yourself a strong community of friends and of writers. I have friends who are writers who I will call when something sad happens, when I get a bad review, or someone doesn't like the book that I really wanted to like it. I have a strong community of people that I will call and just cry on the phone or get mad on the phone or whatever, right? And then with my own work, I have friends who I give it to read first and get their opinion, right? You need like a good critique group, and then I revise depending on what they say, oh, this part was really great, but this part is and then you go through that process. So find yourself a strong group of people who love you no matter what, right? Those are the people you need. But I'm sorry to say that some of the fear never goes away. And you do have to be like a little bit brave if you're going to put yourself into the world. But the world needs our voices. So hold on to that part. Like if you have something to say, then you say it.
I never thought of it that way, and I like how you said the good and the bad. You didn't just get with the good, and I
Yeah,
really
always both, right? There's
yeah,
always
yeah.
good and
I
bad.
want to see the best of both worlds. Then I wanted to ask who, what, and how did you decide to start writing?
So, I started when I was in college. Um, I was in college and I took a class my senior year. So I was an electrical engineering major, but in my college, they make you take something outside of your major, just for, to be well-rounded or something. And I took a creative writing class and I really just fell in love with it in that class. So that's when I started writing. And then I went to graduate school, and then I went to work for a long time because I didn't really think I could make a living as a writer, right? I never thought it was possible for me. And then after I had my daughter, I had the idea for everything, everything. And that's when I really, really tried to become a published author rather than someone who writes all the time, right? So those are like, you can be a writer without being published. I firmly believe you can still be a writer. But then I really wanted to get published because I really hated my job and writing was my dream job. And so that's when I really tried, is when I had my little girl and had the idea for everything, everything.
Then, if I may, I would like to ask your
We can't
opinion
hear
on
you.
what?
Yeah,
We
well,
can hear you, Andrea.
Um, how about now?
Yes.
it's better. Yeah.
I don't know what happened. Anyway, if I may, I would like to ask your opinion on the title that I picked for the trying of a book. It's called The Popular Nerd. I know it sounds weird and contradictory, maybe, but
But I mean, that's what makes it interesting, right? Because nerds are not usually popular. So you're immediately going, oh, you immediately lean in a little bit and go, oh, that could be interesting, right? So I think it's a good title, right? But also, don't, you said it and then you immediately said, oh, it's terrible. Don't do that. Just say it. Like, just say it. Um, you got to be a little bit brave. But I think that's a good title because it's contradictory, because that makes it interesting. Oh, we lost. I can't hear you again.
I said that was all I had to ask, and thank you so much for your answers and kind words.
Thank you. Okay. This was beautiful. Ali is next.
Hi, Nicola. I really love your books. I have one of them right here, and I'm so happy to be here. I wanted to ask you, how did you feel when you finished writing The Sun is Also a Star? Because I heard that authors feel relaxed, but at the same time sad. And honestly, that end left me in tears. And I want to know the way you saw the things.
How did I feel when I finished? It's funny because that book, I wrote the ending all at once. Like, how I say you always revise, but the ending of The Sun is Also a Star, I wrote just in one breath. I just was like, ah, I didn't change a single word. So it was one of those where it felt exactly right. Like it felt inevitable, like I had been leading up to that point. To me, that was a happy ending. Although some people somehow disagree, but I actually think it's a very happy ending. I felt happy for them. I felt happy that I don't want to spoil it for anyone. I felt happy for Danielle and Natasha at the end. It's the only book that I think I might write a sequel to one day. All the other ones, I've finished telling the story. I don't have anything else to say, but I might have something else to say for Daniel and Natasha one day. We'll see.
Okay, thank you so much, and I really appreciate you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Then we have Ariana Stefania.
Hi, Nicola. I'm so happy to finally meet you. I'm a really, really big fan, and I have read all your books, and I think that you're such a great romance writer. Like, I have truly felt and found romance within your books. I have The Sun is also a star right here, and I was wondering, did you also have planned like a different ending for Natasha and Daniel?
First of all, thank you. And also, I love your room and all the lights in the background.
Oh my God, thank you.
I never had a different end. I knew, well, I should take that back. I did not know how it would end when I started writing the book. And I'll tell you a secret. At one point, in the middle of writing, I was so frustrated that I called my editor and I said, you know what? They're just going to die in the middle of the book. Like something terrible is going to happen. And she was like, what is wrong with you? Please calm down. So thankfully, I did not do that. But I did not know the end until I wrote the end. And like I said, I just wrote it all at once. And it's strange because every book is different. For everything, I knew the end right away. And for Instructions for Dancing, I also knew the end right away. But for Sun, I did not know until I wrote it. And then it felt right. Like, and sometimes it's just a feeling, you know, like in my body, it was like, okay, that's it. Their story is done for now. So that's how that one was.
Oh, that's great. And I had like two more questions. And the second one is, which character that you wrote you feel most connected to? Like, which one was your favorite, ultimate favorite? If you can choose, of course.
I mean, it's really hard to choose. I will say that Xavier in Instructions for Dancing is probably the character I most want to be like. Do you know what I mean? Because he's very spontaneous. He really believes in living in the moment and appreciating everything around you right now as it's happening, like really being present. And it's something I want to do. Also, he's really cute. So probably Xavier is my favorite, honestly. It's because I want to be him.
That's super great. Thank you for answering. And Andrea, the other girl that spoke to you, inspired me to ask you about my book title that I've been working on. Yeah. It's called The Prayers Hollow. What do you think about it? It's very important.
What was the second word?
Hollow, like the prayer hollow.
The prayer hollow?
Yes.
Like, I mean, like praying like that?
Yes.
Oh, I think that's very intriguing. Is it like a fantasy?
It's more like a thriller.
Ooh, like a thriller. I mean, you guys, you're doing really well with the evocative titles. I mean, part of writing is, part of the job of selling a book is that when you walk into a bookstore, right, you pick it up and you look at the cover, right? But you look at the title, and the title has to make you feel something. It has to be interesting or just sort of odd, like it makes you tilt your head, or it makes you just want to lean in a little bit more. And I think both your titles do that. Like The Prayer Hollow, I've never heard anything like that. I'd be like, is that a place? Is that a state of mind? What is that? So I think those are both very good, actually.
Oh my God, thank you. And it's been such an honor to meet you.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. Mira is next.
Yes, hello. Hi, Nicola. It's really great to see you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Nice to meet you.
My question is about The Sun is Also a Star, because it's one of my all-time favorite books. Well, I first saw the movie and I was quite intrigued to read the book and then find about that flight attendant that appears in the first part and in the last part.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to ask about this character because it intrigued me. And also I felt like it wouldn't have been complete without her there.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I'm glad you like the book. I love Irene. She is one of my favorite characters. And, you know, writing is so mysterious sometimes. I mean, sometimes I don't know why I write the things that I write. But the book is so much about the way meeting someone can change your entire life, right? Even a small meeting, right? A small encounter can mean the world to you. Like if you're having a bad day and someone says, oh, I really like your hairstyle, or, oh, I really like your dress, or whatever, right? That can change your mood for the day, right? It can just make you feel, oh, that life is not so bad, or I just feel really good right now. And part of the book is about that, is how I want to tell people, if you can just be kinder and sort of more in your body, you can affect other people. And I do think that we affect each other. I think strangers affect you and can change your day and change your life, really. And so for Irene, you know, that encounter with Natasha changed her whole life, right? But Natasha didn't know ever. In the same way, we don't know how we're affecting strangers when we meet them. And so the best thing to do is be kind, right? Like try not to hurt people, try to really just imagine what they're going through. And so that was part of the point of that, is that, you know, Natasha changed Irene's whole life, and she never knew, and she changed it for the better, just the same way we can with each other.
Thank you for answering my question. Also, about another moment, you specified the hairstyles, and I remembered about it. The Sun is also a Star was also one of the first books that made me think about the racial differences we occur in our daily lives. And I really was struck by the fragment with the hairdressers shop when she got insulted. Have you ever felt that, or how was that experience? How it felt? It put it on paper.
Yeah, so I haven't had that specific experience, but certainly have had bad sort of racial experiences. I mean, and it feels terrible, right? Part of what I think books can do is help you feel empathetic, you know, and understanding about what other people are going through, and teach you not to do certain things, or maybe just to understand how what you do affects other people. So, you know, I met someone who did not like immigration before he read my book. And then after he read my book, he came up to me and said, you made me think about immigration differently. Like, and now I understand. And that was like one of the best things anyone ever said to me, because it changed his mind, right? He lived in these characters' lives for 400 pages, and he understood something different. And I thought that was terrific. So, you know, I hope that, you know, writing about painful things can sometimes help other people understand.
Thank you so much for answering my questions. Hope to see the sequel now, right?
Thank you.
Okay, I think Stefana is next.
Hi, Nicola. I just want to say how much I loved your book, and I loved reading everything, because it's been such a big part of the beginning of my teenage years. I just had the question, and I wanted to ask you, what do you think Maddie and Ollie's lives would be like now in the times that we have lived through?
Oh God, that's a great question. Oh, well, I think that Maddie would be really used to it, right? She would probably be very good at being in quarantine. But I think that Maddie and Ollie would always be adventurers, right? I think that they are world travelers. I don't think they ever settle down, because Maddie has such a hunger and a thirst to see the world and be a part of it. And Ollie just adores her. So he's just going to do whatever she wants to do. So I always picture them as living, a couple months in one country and another month in someplace else, and just sort of going around the world as much as they can.
Thank you so much for answering my questions. And I just want to say again how much I love you and your books.
Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you.
Delia also has a question.
Hello. It's so nice to meet you, Nicola. I'm so happy that this meeting is happening, because I wanted to let you know that I first started reading everything in the 9th or 10th grade. Now I'm in my last year of college. And your book made me love reading. I loved it so much that now I have my bookshelf here. I have another one next to me, and I keep some of my books in 2 boxes because I don't have space now. My question for you is, what book did you enjoy writing the most?
Oh, wow. Well, first of all, thank you. And I'm so glad. I love when people say that I got them into reading, because I love reading so much. You can see my bookshelf back here. Reading is such a big part of my life. And I just think it can change your whole world. So I'm always glad to hear people are into reading. What book did I enjoy writing the most? Oh my God. Probably The Sun is Also a Star, I would say. Because I used a lot of my conversations with my husband in that book, and it was really fun just to do it, because we talk about like sort of big philosophical ideas all the time, and Daniel and Natasha do that in the book, and some of those conversations are really exactly what David and I talk about, and so that was kind of fun. I mean, the book is completely fiction, and none of the stuff really happened, but some of those conversations are really inspired by our relationship, so that was really fun to do.
Thank you for answering.
You're welcome.
It was
Thanks.
nice to meet you.
Okay. Then we have Rebecca.
Hi, Nicola. It's so nice to meet you. I always wanted to meet you. And my question for you is, which character describes you the most? Which you relate the most?
Describes me the most?
Yeah.
Yeah. Gosh, it's so hard to choose, because I feel like there's a little bit of me in everyone. Like Natasha is so science, from The Sun is Also a Star, she's so science-minded. And I used to be an electrical engineering major. So, I was like a math geek for such a long time. But Maddie reads so many books, and I read at least 2 books a week. I'm like insane about books, so I'm kind of a little bit her. And then Evie in Instructions for Dancing, she is so a little bit cynical about the world, which I can sometimes be, and she's really perceptive about people, which I also am. So I think I'm a little bit of everyone. Usually I write the books because I'm trying to understand something about the world. I have a big question. So in everything, my question is, what are you willing to risk for love? And in The Sun is Also a Star, my big question is, can love change you? Like, how much can it change you? Because I really believe love is transformational. And in Instructions for Dancing, the question is, what is love worth? Like, is it worth the potential for all the heartbreak? So I am always a part of the books because I am trying to answer a question while I'm writing them. That's the reason I write them. It's because something's bugging me and I need to know the answer. And so that's why I write. So I would say I'm a little bit of everyone.
And I also have a question. What would you do if you weren't a writer? Like, what would you think you would do?
I have two answers. So I would love to be a rock star, like a real rock star, with like a shaved head and a guitar and just rocking out. And the other thing is I would love to be like a travel writer and food critic, because I love to travel and I really love to eat. And I would like to get paid to eat and travel and write reviews about them.
Thank you so much for
Thank you.
your kind words. Sorry.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. The dream life, I think. Then we have Daria.
Hi, Nicola. It's so nice to be here tonight. My two questions for you are, what do you think is the most important thing when you're writing a character, and especially a good female character?
Okay, so this is more of a philosophical answer. I think the job of a writer is to tell the truth, right? I think that's the job. And so the most important thing is to tell the truth about the character. That means you have to be empathetic. And I think empathy is one of these words that I think a lot of people use, but empathy is actually very, very hard, right? Because it means that you have to put yourself into someone's life and really try to understand why they do the things they do, why they say the things they say, and to feel, to make them the main character, to understand, even if you think the thing they're doing is bad, you would understand it. And so I think the most important thing for a character is to tell the truth about that character. So that's more of a philosophical answer. On a practical level, I don't think you know your character on the first draft, right? That's part of, and this is the thing that I think lots of newer writers will get to know, is on the first draft, you have an idea, you're telling the story to yourself, you have a general outline of what the character is, but I never know my characters until the third or the fourth draft. And then I can hear their voices in my head, and they feel like a real person that I could actually speak to. So I guess I would say, try to remember it's a process, it's layers. It's like the first time you build the house, it's just like, just like the wooden beams, and then you put the cross beams, and then you're putting the wire, and then you're putting the cement. You're building a house, but you don't build it all at once. It takes time and it takes layers. I hope that answers your question.
It does, it really does. And the other one would be, if you wouldn't have named it Instructions for Dancing, what other title would you have given the book?
Oh my God, I had so many titles. It was called The Book of Love at one point, and Dancing Lessons, which I hated, but my editor really liked. What else did I have? I have a whole list. I can't remember them. But, the title comes from a song, and the song is called The Book of Love, and it's by a band called The Magnetic Fields. And I heard the song, and as soon as I heard the lyric, I was like, oh, that's it. That's the title. And my editor said, that title is so long. And I was like, I don't care. That is the title. I'm not changing it. And it is very long, but I still love it. I think it's a great title.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Ioana is next.
Hello, I just want to say that I read everything, and it was like the first book that I reread from you, and now I took from the library the sun is also a star, and I want to read it. And I see that you like this romance genre you kind of into genre of romance, and I want to ask you, what love story did you inspire in the love story of the two main characters, like in everything?
Okay. So I love love. Like I am the biggest fan of love there is, because I think love can change you. And I think love is the force that makes the world go around. So some people think that's cheesy, but if you really think about it, it's true, right? Love is the thing that everyone wants and everyone is trying to get. And I don't just mean romantic, right? It could be love of art, love of writing. It could be the love of your family, your parents, your siblings, your friends. It could be the love of work. But it is the force. It is such a fundamental human emotion. It is the force that makes the world go around, right? And then for me, I just really like romantic love because I like kissing. I like writing about it. I adore my husband. And like I feel like the luckiest person on earth because I think he's terrific. He's my best friend. And so I write about love because I'm kind of a goober, a romantic goober. But in a serious way, I really do think that love and loving yourself is the most important part of that. Like you can't fall in love with someone else unless you love yourself really, right? Because if you don't love yourself, you'll let other people treat you poorly, right? And you won't try to grow and you won't be able to let anyone else grow either. So yeah, I mean, all the books will not always be about love, but I do really love love.
Okay, and I'm currently trying to write a book, and sometimes I got stuck. Like I know what I want to write, but I don't. In my head, sounds like I know the resume. I make a resume in my head, but when I want to express the things on paper, they don't really get on the paper. Like I can't put it on the paper. And I want to ask if you had this type of issue when you write your books, and how did you get over it, if so?
Okay. This is a classic problem. And every writer has this problem, and you will always have this problem. And that's just how it is. It is part of writing because the problem with writing is communication. The idea and the world that you have in your head, you have to translate it to the page. You have to put it down on paper. And the closer you can get your head, like, so this is in your head and this is what's on paper together, that's the art of writing, right? It's a struggle. That's what revision is for, right? You are not going to get it that first time. You're just not. And then, but you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you get closer and closer to that idea in your head. I will tell you that I will sometimes look at my books on the shelf and I'll read something and I'll think, oh my God, I could do that so much better. I could still revise it. So it's always like that. I was talking to a friend of mine recently, and she's very, very successful, a very successful author. And she still thinks that she wants to revise something that she published that's already out there. That's like perfect. So that's part of it. You will always think that you can't get the exact thing, but you have to get close enough. Otherwise, you'll never publish anything, right? Like if you try to perfect it, you can do that forever. And everyone feels that way. So trust.
So you got to rewrite it. So you write and again write, and still you got when you got perfect.
Yeah, and you will never think it's perfect. You will just think it's good enough. And also your editor will say, this book is due, you have to give it to me, right? Mm-hmm. So a practical part of it as well. And And then, you know, you'll feel it when it's done. You'll get sick of it too. And you just want to be like, ah, it's done.
Okay, thank you so much for your answering.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Larissa.
Hello, I wanted to say that the only book that I read from you is Instructions for Dancing, and I loved it so much. It was amazing, and it's one of my favorite books ever. And my questions for you is, would you like to have the power to predict how the story of a couple ends?
You know, I thought about this a lot. So in Instructions for Dancing, the main character, Evie, whenever she sees a couple kiss, she sees their entire relationship. She sees the beginning where they're so happy, and then she sees the middle where they're, you know, they're still happy, and then she sees how it ends. And what she feels like when she sees these is all relationships end. Why should I bother, right? And so the question is, would I like that power? You know, I'm a writer. So, you know, if I'm at the coffee shop and you're there with your significant other and you're having an argument, I am absolutely eavesdropping. Like, I really want to know what's going on. I'm just like totally listening, even though I'm pretending I'm drinking my coffee. I'm writing it down in my head. So there's a part of me that would love that power, right? Because I'm so interested in people, and I'm so interested in their relationships and the things they say and the things they don't say and the things they don't know they're saying with their body language. So I'm really just a curious about people person. So I kind of would like it, but as a human being that's not a writer, it would be terrible to have this power, right? Because it's just depressing. Because who wants to know? Like, you don't want to know your best friends are going to break up in 5 months. You don't want to know that. So I think in the end, I would not want this power. The writer in me wants it. The person in me does not.
I understand. I like the idea of seeing the whole story from the beginning. That's very nice. It's nice. Yeah. And one last question is, what is your favorite romantic movie, not book, movie or TV show? Because we all understood that you are a very loving person, and I appreciate that so much, that you like the energy you are giving and the love you are showing and writing is unbelievable, and I love it so much. So what is your favorite romantic movie?
My favorite is The Princess Bride. Have you seen that one? The Princess Bride? It's my absolute favorite. And there's a book as well, and it's also really great. It's one of the very few times when the book and the movie are equally wonderful. So that's, I mean, it's hands down. I've seen that one 17 times. Someone had said they saw everything 17 times. I have seen Princess Bride 23 times. I think it was you, Andrea. Someone said it 17 times. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was me.
Yeah. So that's what I would recommend.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Aura has a question. And then Maya. Okay.
First of all, thank you for writing The Sun is Also a Star, because now I love reading. And question for you is, how did you come up with the story of Everything? Because that story is very different from like other books.
Yeah, so that's a strange one, because I started writing that when my daughter, she was 3 months old. So I was a new mom, and new moms are very nervous in general, right? We worry about a lot of things. I worried about so many things. I worried that she was going to get sick. I worried she would eat dirt. I worried she would somehow crawl out of my house. And you know, you have this new baby and you have to keep them alive. And I was just like, what am I doing? I have no idea. And I started thinking about, what if I have to take care of her the way you take care of an infant for her entire life, right? And then I started thinking, well, what if there was a girl who needed taking care of her entire life because of something, because she was sick. And that's why it came to me. It's because I had my little girl and I was a nervous mom, right? And I was trying to figure out how to take care of her without like smothering her, right? Like, because you're so nervous, you just want to keep them close, but you can't keep them too close because that's just weird, right? So that's where that came from, is just my own sort of insecurities about being a mom.
Thank you for answering my question.
You're welcome.
Okay, Maya, you have the word.
It's so nice to meet you. I just wanted to say that you're so inspiring, and because of your words now I feel a little bit more love around me, and I think you're absolutely beautiful. And I'm amazed by how you managed to write these love stories, but with a touch of these fantastic elements. And I was wondering how you thought of combining these two ideas, or pretty much, yeah.
Well, first of all, thank you. You're so kind. You guys are all amazing. I just want to tell you that this is one of my favorite events that I've ever done. You're just wonderful, all of you. Just 201. How do I think of the ideas? So, do you remember earlier I was saying that usually I write because I have a question that I'm trying to figure out. And so if I'm trying to figure it out, I have to find a situation that I can put my characters in that helps me figure it out while they are trying to figure it out as well. So in Instructions for Dancing, the main character, she starts off being a very romantic person. But when we first meet her, she's very cynical because her parents have gotten divorced, and she's giving away her romance novels because she doesn't believe in love anymore. When I was writing that book, my mom was really sick. She had cancer, and we weren't sure if she was going to survive. And it was very painful experience, right? Because you love your parents, you love your family, you love your people so much, but one day you could lose them, right? So love is wonderful, but also the potential for heartbreak is so, heartbreak hurts, right? It really hurts. And so I was going through that. I was really struggling with the fact that I loved her so much and I could possibly lose her. Watching my dad, who adores his wife, feel all that pain. I was trying to figure out, is love worth it? Like, it's so terrible if you lose your person. And so the perfect way to work out that question was to give my main character the same problem, right? But I made it a little different. So she is cynical because of her parents, and she has these visions. So she knows love always ends, and she has to decide, is love worth it anyway, even though it ends, right? Because that's what I was struggling with too. So because I usually write for a question, it's kind of easier to get a situation, right? Because something's bugging me and I basically just torture my characters until they have an answer because I'm being tortured anyway, if that makes sense.
Wow, yeah, thank you so much for answering. Your definition of love will definitely stick with me. And I just want to add that when I read Everything a long time ago, I remember putting down the book for a few minutes because I was so scared of what was going to happen. Yeah. And there were so many twists. It wasn't just incredible romance novel, and yeah, I'm very grateful for meeting you.
Thank you. You guys are all so kind. Thank you. I'm so glad that the books have meant something to you, because they mean something to me to write, and it's just wonderful when you hear it means something else to you guys.
Thank you. So I think we have time for one more question or two more questions. I see some questions in the chat. So, okay, I heard something. Irina, Maria?
Hi, Nicola. I just want to say that Everything was the first ever romance book that I ever read in my life. I remember I was in the middle of the class, I was reading, and it got to a sad part, and I started crying, and it was really awkward. But what I wanted to ask you is, how did you get published? I know it's really hard now, and how did you make your team? How did you find your people?
How did I find my people? So this is a good question. And I think it's one of those things that's hard to learn at the beginning. So first you need an agent, right? So do you guys all know what an agent is? Right.
Kind of.
Yeah, so an agent, so you write your book, right? And then an agent is someone who represents you. So they will take your work and give it to publishers, you know, give it to editors at publishing houses and say, I have this book and I think it's terrific and I think you'd be a great editor for it, right? And so they send it out and then they choose an, like, you know, hopefully someone loves it and they say, oh, we would like to buy this book and publish it. And so that's how the business relationship works. So you as an author find an agent, the agent then takes your work and tries to get you an editor at a publishing house. So that's the business side. And then on the other side, which I think is really, really important too, is that you need to find yourself a community of writers, right? And I think, I mean, I have one, all the writers I know have one. And what I mean is you need to find people who are smart and kind. Kind is really important to read your work, right? So you have finished a draft, say, you give it to people who you respect their work and they respect your work. They're smart and they're kind. And then they give you notes, right? I love this part of the book. This other part is not really working for me. What about this idea, right? And then you take that feedback and you revise and you give it to your readers again. And then you put your best work out to an agent or to an editor. But so that beginning part, that community of readers, it's so important because you don't want to go to an agent or an editor with work that's not ready yet, right? And I think that's the thing that's sort of hard for newer writers is like, you're so excited when you're done with your book, you want to go immediately, but take that time, right? Because you can't make the first impression again, right? Take that time to make your book the best thing it can be, and then seek out an agent or an editor. And then practically, there are lots of resources online to tell you who the agents are for the kind of books that you are writing. There is a place called the Society for Children's Book Writers if you're writing young adult stuff, and there's lots of advice on who the agents are, who the editors are in the world that you can submit to. And then, oh God, there is an author named Susan Dennard. It's Dennard, and she has great resources on her website that will tell you all this information about how to write a query letter, how to get an agent. And I always recommend her website if you're looking for practical advice about getting published.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thank you. So we have 2 other questions in the chat, if I may read them.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Would you write in another genre in the future? Did you think about it?
Yes, I'm writing in another genre right now. After I am finished talking to you all, I'm going back to my computer and I'm going to continue that book. So yes, yes.
Okay, that's exciting. And another reader has noticed on social media that you and Adam Silvera are friends. So are you planning on a collaboration in the future?
Oh God, Adam is so busy. There's no way Adam has time. we've never talked about that, and we actually did an event last night together to celebrate the paperback release of Instructions for Dancing, and then we had dinner after. So we are really good friends, but I don't know if we would write together because Adam's crazy in the best way, and also he's really busy. So I think it's probably best that we just stay really good friends. So I haven't thought about it, but I am writing with someone else right now. So, but I'm not going to say who.
Honestly, we love you both and can't wait to see that secret collaboration happen.
Adam is the greatest. We had so much fun last night because we are actually very good friends. And so when you do an event with someone like that, it's just very relaxed, and he's funny, and he's really kind and generous, and we had a really good time.
That's so nice. It's nice to hear. Okay, so sadly the time is up. Thank you everyone for asking questions. Thank you, Nicola, for taking time and answering all of the questions. I think it was beautiful, and we all definitely learned something. So thank you. We hoped you liked it here with us, and we also hope to see you maybe someday soon.
I would love to come. I want to just really tell you that this is one of my favorite things. Just, you guys are just sweet and kind, and thank you for, reading my books and for asking such nice questions, and you made my day. You really did. So thank you.
Thank you. I think you also made all of our days.
Okay, that's good. Okay. Goodbye, everyone.
Goodbye.
Take care. And to all you readers